What we've come for is international clay pigeon shooting. Now here, near Bray, there's 120 competitors have come from various countries to take part today. And what they're here to do is shoot at clay pigeons. That is a clay pigeon. And these are fired from hidden spots at various angles. And you get 100 shots during the day. Obviously, the best score is 100, but anyone that gets in the top 90s, that'll be very good.
Now, the first we see is Seamus Dunn for Ireland. He's on stand 7. On each stand, 10 clays are released. They're released in pairs. The first one released when the shooter calls pull. The second one in the report of his first shot. Again, watch one from the right and one from the left. This is Ernie LeBrun from Jersey on stand 8. This they call a lobber, and the clays come to simulate a brace of ducks coming downwards. There's the call for pull. Those two coming very fast.
Joe Woodcock, you're Honorary Secretary of the Irish Clay Pigeon Association, so you obviously are the right man to ask, how does someone go about taking up shooting?
Well, very frequently the recruits for clay pigeon shooting come from the farming community, which a lot of people on the land, they shoot rabbits or they shoot game or something, and then the season closes and they know what to shoot, so they frequently take up clay pigeon shooting. The ordinary citizen in a town, well, I suppose the best way he can start is to turn up to some of the scheduled shoots and see what goes on.
Of course, another way is to go along and act as a trapper. They're all young people looking ahead. There's Xavier Gotel of the Jersey team on stand 3.
Now, in this particular stand we're on, you're getting very much for a high shot. What's the difficulty here? What's the technique you particularly have to go for?
Well, it's like a springing teal, the first bird coming up. So what you've got to do is have the gun ready. It's a very, very quick bird. You've got to swing up and swing through the bird with a nice sweet action. And just as you pass over it, pull the trigger. Come back down, be ready, because the second bird coming out is an on-report bird. So you just see it's just like a crossing pheasant or crossing whatever bird you like to call. Sweep across, 2 to 3 feet ahead of it, pull the trigger again.
Now, is there any specific time between the first and second bird?
No, what happens is as soon as you shout pull, the first bird appears and you shoot at it. And the trapper won't fire the second bird until you have fired your first shot. So it's called on report.
So in other words, it's quick reactions.
Quite well, yes, fairly quick reaction, yes.
Now the noise, does that go through the head?
Well, if you should really have a good pair of ear fenders, which I do have. But when I'm shooting, I like to shoot with nothing at all because I can hear the trap firing. So I've got maybe a second or so advantage. When I hear the trap going, I know the bird is going to appear, so I can swing and shoot at it.
All the tricks of the trade.
Well, I'll try to.
David Lyle from Scotland, who started shooting indeed at the age of 8 years of age, which is very traditional on the farms in his area of Scotland. There's really 2 competitions running. There's the individual high gun, and then there's the team competition. It's teams of 15, and it's the highest 10 scores from each of those teams that counts. Angela Jones from Wales, one of the ladies taking part, here on stand 7. Now, the ladies are not included in the team scores. They have their own separate ladies' high gun competition. The clays come in opposite directions, simulate a pheasant shoot. Angela just not doing so well here on this particular stand.
Right, Butch Kyle, we've heard from other people about the lack of accidents in shooting and clay pigeon shooting, but there are basic rules. Would you just spell them out for the uninitiated?
First rule is you never point the gun at anybody. Second rule is that at all times, unless you're actually on the stand to use the gun, your gun is broken, like so. Never closed like that because it's dangerous.
Why do you say it's dangerous if there's nothing in it?
Well, how do you know there's nothing in it? How do I know there's nothing in it if it's closed? The only way anybody knows it's not dangerous is to see it open. Yeah.
Right. Now,
you can't be too careful.
the gun itself, are they expensive?
A good gun to do the job you want, you'll buy from £400 up to about £1,500. There's a new thing called multi-chokes that instead of buying 2 or 3 guns, it's like having a golf stick with 4 heads. It'll do all the jobs for you. And they range in price from £400. You'll get a very good one between £400 and £1,000. Brand new, top model, £1,500.
So it's not really a millionaire sport we're talking
Not really, no.
Now, the gun itself, it's a twin barrel or 2 barrel.
Over and under.
Now,
one
I
barrel on
always
top
thought
of the other.
they were parallel to each other.
For game shooting, yes, for quick loading, but for clay shooting, an over and under has less recoil. So the barrels don't jump up in the air. One barrel's side by side, it comes back into the stock.
Ah.
It makes it easier to shoot. Very few side-by-sides now are used in top competition.
Now, I noticed a lot of people, and virtually everybody, when they called for the clay to be released, they hadn't the gun to their shoulder.
It's optional now at English sporting. You can have the gun mounted or anywhere out of the shoulder or in the shoulder you like.
Why would you keep it away from your shoulder? It's another thing you have to do from when the bird appears.
It's much easier to swing the gun when it's out of the shoulder than when it's that way.
Butch Kyle from Coolock in County Dublin there. Now Sarah Bailey from England on stand 2 here. Just have a look at what Butch was talking about. Swinging the gun out of our shoulder, down and up again. Duncan Lawton from England. Now Duncan is the only man known to have shot 100 out of 100, a remarkable achievement. But one of the things to note here is Duncan's gun. It's unlike the ones we've seen with all the other shooters so far. This is an automatic. It doesn't break, it loads from the side.
Des Foley, you're the Irish team manager. How are we doing today?
We're doing reasonably well. I'm quite happy, in fact. Some of our shooters are shooting extraordinarily well, maybe above their best.
What's the standard in Ireland like internationally?
Well, amazingly enough, it's we have improved over the last 5 years to a degree in which we are really competitive now with the rest of the European countries.
Well, what brought about this change over the last few years?
More competition, greater sponsorship in a very small way from various people. Today we're very fortunate that the Bray Gun Club have a sponsorship here, and that adds tremendously to the standard of shooting, because it relaxes people to the extent that, like, the cost not involved, big costs involved. Now the second thing involved is that we have an enormous number of shoots. The numbers have increased from about 20 sporting shoots in the year to at least 47 or 50 sporting shoots now in the year. Now that gives fellas extra competition. Most of them, 95% of them, are registered shoots. Our shooters are also going abroad. They're gaining experience by going abroad. And this is the only way you can compete. Now, might I say to you that we are shooting today against an English team which would have a selection of maybe 60,000 shooters against our selection of maybe 220. So you're basing it on us getting quality, and they can pick from a very large section of the shooting population.
So a great day here at Bray. The event very relaxed, nice atmosphere, the weather kind, just a gentle breeze. And now here's Maurice O'Connor, Maurice of the Bray Club. Maurice, it must have taken a lot of effort to put this together.
Yes, quite an amount of organisation went into it. We have a committee of 7 people who over the last 5 months put the whole thing together, and as you can see, it's gone quite well together. In the organisation of it, we have about just over the 30 people.
Now, the site here is magnificent. Is this permanent?
It's a permanent site for us. The person who owns it, we just lease the grounds from him, and we've some very, very experienced shooters in our club, so who've been abroad at other international shoots, so we've gained a bit of experience, and from that built this course, which is quite an outstanding course, really, the comments are.
Now, can you vary it by the placing of stands or what, or where the
yes, we have. We've permanently located traps secluded them into trees and places like that so as they can't be seen, to make it really realistic, to simulate different types of wildlife. And we can vary the stand by just moving the traps and their trajectories and things like that very easily.
One of the ladies, Janet Walsh from England. See, she has ear plugs rather than the ear muffs. Called some pull. The second one released on her shot. Watch the technique. Gun just slightly off the shoulder for a moment. Now, there's a fair recoil off those guns, and here we just get a chance to see this. Squeezes the trigger. Balances herself back round to set up for the second clay. The concentration. Squeeze the trigger and absorb the recoil.
Sarah Bailey, is this your first trip to Ireland for shooting?
Yes, it is. Yes, first time.
How are you enjoying it?
It's good. There's some good birds here. There's a nice variety.
Now, this particular one, you're just coming to this stand here. Just explain to the uninitiated what happens here.
Right, well, I think what you've got here is a rabbit, which is a clay which rolls along the ground, simulating a rabbit. And then you have a crossing target, which comes up there. And you have to take the rabbit first, and then take the crosser.
Now, do you know the gap there's going to be between the rabbit and the bird?
No, I don't personally think about where or how much in front I'm going to shoot the target until I actually pull the trigger, because you read the clay as you shoot.
It's an instinct, is it?
Yeah, some people say, well, it needs 3 feet lead, but different people have different interpretations of what lead is.
Now on the stand for Ireland, Langley Humphreys. Langley, indeed, who used to be a rally driver. This stand is described as fur and feather. The first clay there to simulate a rabbit, and then the bird going high, and the report of the gun. Great crowd, near a chance to see the rabbit. Running right along the ground. A kill. The other shooters waiting their turn. And to stand 5, Roger Sutton from England. He's been shooting since 1972. His first return to the English team after a gap of about 17 years. And this is a difficult stand because they're shooting downwards.
John Wells from Warwickshire, you've just come off this stand and shot a 10.
Yes, well, you need a little bit of good fortune, but it's a tricky pair, but I think because it's a bit restricted with how much of the target you can see, a lot of people are rushing before, you know, they've seen the target. I think there's a little more time than you think, but because you can't get to see beyond the shooter, you tend to panic. That's a good testing stand, very fair, very killable, but tricky. And that's what sporting shooting is about, having good angles that test the shooter, but by having targets in range, but I say a good angle, then it's difficult to get the gun in the right spot. Very easy to put a clay out of range, you know, and no one can break him if he's out of range, but by having good angles, it's very easy to shoot over the top of those targets.
Really, the venue here at Berryfield in Bray, County Wicklow, is quite magnificent. The clubhouse building of the Bray Clay Pigeon Club, where all the results and scores are being computed. Sponsor of the event, Derek O'Connor of XL Gents Fashion. And Derek, it's a great day, isn't it?
Good. The weather is holding up fine. There's plenty of spectators to get a good look at the proceedings. Nice to see so many international sportsmen taking part. It'd be interesting to see how the Irish competitors fare against some pretty stiff opposition from the English, who at the moment seem to be giving them a run for their money.
And indeed at the top for the Irish side, Butch Kyle from Coolock, who we were talking to earlier. Butch here now on his last stand. Now Butch needs a 10 here to keep pressure on Gary Phillips for England. Bit disappointed. That's only a 9. Leaving the door that little bit open and taking some of the pressure off Gary Phillips. Butch has shot very well. Now here he is, Gary Phillips on stand 5, his last stand. difficult one to finish on. And Gary at this stage has already shot 6 10s today.
Oh.
A lot of pressure on him here. He knows any error could give the overall competition to Butch Kyle for Ireland.
Oh.
Oh, lovely shooting.
Got no more
And
shells
that's
anyway.
it. As he says, no more shells, but he shot a 10, 7 10s on the day, and he is the winner with a total of 96 out of a possible 100. Second in the XL International Tournament, Butch Kyle for Ireland in 94, and Scotland third. And in the team competition, after a shoot-off, England beat Ireland, Scotland third, Wales fourth, Isle of Man fifth, and Jersey sixth. And then a tradition of the English team, the winner's cap gets shot.
Right, Gary, what a performance. Top gun and you lost your hat. Are you a bit pleased with yourself?
Far from the hat, yes. I haven't got much left up there.
Now, as a competition, how have you enjoyed it?
Very good, very good.
What about the stands? What did you think?
Very good. Good layout. Scores are very high. So, no, it's very good. The weather's been good. So, the whole competition has been very, very good.
Now, stand 5, the one you had a 10 on, most are saying that's probably one of the most difficult. Did you find it?
No, I was lucky. So sometimes you can find a stand, sometimes you can't. Very rare in England that we shoot a bird going downhill. So that was tricky, very tricky.
Well, congratulations and very well done, and glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.